Week 4, Texans post-week outlook, from a lot of suck to perhaps some luck. Let's go.
Yeah. Yeah. It's the Locker Room on YouTube. You know what it is. Let's get it. Hey. Locker Room. Yeah, we in the locker room. Texas talk. Yeah, you know what we about to do. Localize. Every angle's what we really do. We the source. We the pulse of the city too. Landlocked. Got the game in the headlock. Localize every time. Can't stop, won't stop. Yeah, we top 2 and we not too. Plugged in daily digital on YouTube.
All right, week 4 is complete in the NFL. The Texans are no longer a winless squad, and perhaps luck is on the Texans' side. It is the Locker Room post-week outlook. This video is brought to you by Sleeper. Shout out to the greatness that is Sleeper. It is officially my scoring app. It did take a while for the muscle memory to kick in, but the scoring app on Sleeper, whether it's college football, whether it's pro football, it's awesome. The information during games, it's awesome. The higher, lower, it's awesome. Fantasy teams, survivor pools. I'm still in that survivor pool that many of you are partaking in. And it's the fastest organically growing fantasy platform in the world. There's a lot of stuff going on. There's a lot of guys that really love sports. If you follow them on social media, the higher lower game, I'm in a little bit of a slump, but I'm predicting it bounce back. And if you want to get involved in the higher lower game, then just use the promo code LOCKER and you will get match up to $100. So check that out. The greatness that is Sleeper, best sports community, best app in the game. Shout out to Sleeper for doing everything they do and for allowing me to be just a small piece of the greatness of Sleeper. So the Texans get a dub against the Titans. We've talked about this a lot. It's kind of been a long day today. Not going to lie. And I look at this game a number of ways. I think there's a couple of things that you can look at, and I do find myself, whenever you mention that is the best offensive performance that we've seen, you do mention that it was the Titans. When you mention that the Texans pitched a shutout on defense, you do mention that it was the Titans. And it goes without saying that the Titans are, without a doubt, the most dog-butted football team in the NFL right now. And it's inevitable they're going to be looking for a coach. It's inevitable they're most likely going to be picking number 1 in the draft. And they're a really, 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 really bad team. So I do think that needs to be acknowledged. I also think there are some things there that could perhaps be encouraging for the Texans moving forward. And I think the youth movement on offense right now, which we've kind of been calling for ever since camp started, that's if this offense is going to have an upside, and if this offense is going to escape being one of the worst in the league, then they're going to have to use these young guys. And Woody Marks right now is a guy that adds a completely different element to this offense. And quite frankly, everything that you want a running back to do, he's the best at with this team. Now, you would like to have a little bit more depth at running back, and we'll hear from DeMeco Ryans in a second and talk about some of the things that he said. But right now, Woody Marks is the guy. He's your best between the tackles runner. He's your best receiver. He's really good in pass pro, and he adds an element to this offense that they need. They need playmakers, and he is definitely one of those guys. And Nick Chubb right now is just kind of a compliment to what Woody Marks does. And I think they need to start giving Woody Marks a little bit more of a larger chunk of the pie. You also have Jaden Higgins, who made a play in the game. I think they're just going to have to get near the red zone to be able to maximize what he does, because I think that's his skill set. And for whatever reason, they don't necessarily trust him more than they do the vets, which a little bit frustrating. Maybe that changes after the bye. Maybe they figure some stuff out, but that's where That's where they're at. So I think that the Texans right now on offense, it's still a bad offense. You didn't get to the red zone until the fourth quarter. But if Woody Marks is going to be the guy, then I think you're going to have a chance. And on defense, we've always known that this was a good defense. If this defense continues to just do what they're doing, then the offense has to be okay. Now, CJ Stroud's going to have to make, the throw that he missed to Dalton Schultz once the competition increases, but there is definitely something to build on. And I think that the caveat that it was the Titans and the Titans suck, I think that's fair too. So I have no pushback on the Texans and what they did with the Titans. I think it was an encouraging dub. It was an encouraging fourth quarter. And they took the top off of it. And we'll see how they build on it and what they do. But right now, we laid it out, and we've been laying this out for a while. The whole way to salvage the season or at least be competitive to where perhaps you're in the playoffs, the whole way to salvage it was going 5-5. And step one was beating the Tennessee Titans. You did that. Now the Texans are getting a little bit of luck. And you look at this Baltimore team right now, you have Lamar Jackson with the injured hamstring. Don't know if he's going to go. You have Roquan Smith out with a hammy. You have Matabuke out for the season. And you have Marlon Humphrey out for the game. This Baltimore game, whether they had one win or were undefeated, this was not a game that you looked at and said, okay, the Texans have a chance to get this done. We don't know how Lamar Jackson's going to handle the hamstring, but at this point, this is laid out about as perfectly as you could ask for the Texans, to where they have a pretty decent chance at winning a game in Baltimore. Now, is anyone going to pick them in their survivor pool or anything like that? I doubt it. But right now, Baltimore is just a 3.5-point favorite. And that's on standby, I would assume, because we don't know whether Lamar Jackson's going to go or not. And it just feels like injuries keep tumbling down on the Ravens. So there's a decent amount of luck there with the Texans that they might be able to build on, and they might be able to carry into Baltimore. And then you got the bye week before you face the Seattle Seahawks on Monday night. So the bye week couldn't come at a better time. And if you go into the bye at 2-3 with the way things started, with a win over the Baltimore Ravens, who've kind of been the thorn in the side of you, the Texans have been completely dominated by Baltimore in the DeMeco Ryans era. The point differential is 69. So these have been very one-sided games. But if you can go to 2-3, maybe we have to adjust that 5-5 to where maybe you could be 6-4 through 10 games. So the Texans had a really, really good end to the game against a team that they should rough up. And now a team that everyone thought that they would just completely get their ass whooped by is getting depleted by injuries. And there's a little reason for optimism. So you have that. Then you have the AFC South. And that's basically the point of the Monday stream. We've done the post-game show at this point. We've done Reaction Monday on SNL, which SNL you can watch here on YouTube or listen on Spotify Monday through Friday, 4:00. So we've gone through all that. We've done the Texans Collective. So we just basically the whole point of the Monday is to look at the state of the NFL and where the Texans sit. And right now you have the Jags and Colts sitting at 3-1 atop the division. Now, the Colts, they lost the game in a hell of a manner against the Rams. I don't know what Adonai Mitchell was doing. I'm kind of an Adonai Mitchell truther. I don't know what the hell he was doing dropping the ball, but they end up dropping a game and they fall to 3-1. The Jags, they improved to 3-1. And the most relevant thing from that game is, as we're talking about Baltimore and how depleted they are, San Francisco kind of sucks. That's another team where you look at them, their schedule's been horrible. Brock Purdy looks awful and he looks injured to the point where I almost wonder if Mac Jones isn't better than Brock Purdy at this point, which sounds crazy, but that's a conversation that they're having in San Francisco. And this San Francisco team that's coming to town after the bye week, they suck. They're not good. That is not like some unbeatable squad. So you have that, but you have the Colts and Jags 2 games ahead of you. Elsewhere in the AFC, there's only one unbeaten team, Buffalo. Buffalo looks about what you would expect Buffalo to look like. They're very good. James Cook, my God, he looks like an all-pro at this point. And then you have 4 2-2 teams. So there's 4 teams that are 500 in the AFC. Buffalo, the one unbeaten. And you have 4 3-1 teams. 2 of them are in the division. We already mentioned that. And then you have 6 1-3 teams, which the Texans are right there in the mix. But right now, the final playoff spot, if we're looking at standings, and it's very early, it's 2 wins. And then you have 2 winless teams in the Titans and Jets. And the Jets look like absolute crap today. So that's kind of the layout right now of the AFC. If you go into the bye at 2-5, I don't think anyone would have signed up for that before the season. But with the way that stuff has shaped up and the way that stuff is lined up, I think you would take it. And this upcoming week, the Chiefs go to Jacksonville. So the Chiefs are actually favored on the road at Jacksonville. It feels like Kansas City's kind of figuring some stuff out. So they'll be favored at Jacksonville. That'll be a week from today. That'll be a Monday nighter in Jacksonville. And the Colts, they host the Raiders. So they'll probably they're about a touchdown favorite in that. So I don't want to say that this is like the luckiest team in the world, but it could be a hell of a lot worse for the Texans with where they're sitting. We'll react to what DeMeco Ryans had to say. He dropped a little bit of news on us today at media availability. Let's hear from him, though. Let's hear what DeMeco Ryans had to say today following the Texans win. Here's the head coach live in the locker room, post-game, post-week recap for the Texans.
Morning.
Morning.
DeMeco, when you look at sort of a winning formula, is there a way to bottle it up, if is the right phrase, but to try to take that forward and try to do it again?
Hey, bro.
Alpha Aaron here.
And doing the things that we asked to do. Again, just playing complementary football. That's what it takes to win in this league. All 3 phases playing together. Mainly, the main thing for us, what we did well, just offensively, is protecting the football. Right? You protect the football, your chances of winning the game, that percent goes up a ton when you just possess the football. So we did that. We had opportunity defensively. We had opportunity to take it away, and we did. So those things work.
I'm sure you've seen the film by now, and just the day, you talked about a little bit after the game with the production that Woody had yesterday. Now that you've seen the film, what else have you taken from his day and kind of what he could bring you guys?
It was exciting to see Woody show up the way he showed up, like some of the runs he made, like making guys miss in the hole, playing physical, some of our short yardage runs, him being able to get downhill in the passing game, not just the catching the ball and running, but the protection. He had some really good protection clips as well. I thought just overall, like he had a really outstanding game for a rookie to step in and play the way that he played. Really, really proud of what he did. He sparked a lot of excitement for us offensively, for our team, just seeing him being able to get in the end zone, make a huge play on the third and I think 15 plus, like him to take the screen pass and to convert it, get a first down there, then the next play line up and take a rush into the end zone. So it's a lot of exciting plays, a lot of big plays for us that we're excited to see, how much more he can handle.
Does Nick Chubb and Woody Marks kind of complement each other?
Two different styles, right? I think Woody's just more shifty back, more speed, getting on the edge, just presents different problems. And Chubb, just consistent power, pressing forward, making plays in the run game, making some really tough physical runs. So it's
I don't know about that. I mean, it's okay. It's not that great.
two different guys, two different styles, and I think they complement each other well.
Burke was calling the plays there. Was that what?
All right, this was the nug that Alexander broke over at the Houston Chronicle. Matt Burt called the defense.
Was happening Sunday?
Yeah, Burke called plays on Sunday, and for me, Burke has called plays before as well. We all collectively put the game plan together and work it well. He did a good job of calling it on Sunday.
How does that kind of make it easier for you to just kind of oversee everything, not having to call plays, just kind of be like?
I wouldn't say it's just easier. I mean, we were still talking through what plays were
He's such a hardo sometimes.
running, calling, so we worked well in tandem doing that, and just Burke did a really nice job. Just overall, everybody, just our sideline, our entire operation worked really well.
CJ said that the big play to
So he's kind of downplaying it, but there's a reason that you decide to do that. Unless he just decided that he wanted Burke to handle his lightweight and see what it looked like. There's a reason you do that. I do wonder, is this something that he's going to continue to do? Or once the competition increases, maybe he takes it back. I don't know. But whether it was overseeing the offense, whatever it was, you do it for a reason. And DeMeco did it, and it's a pretty big change. And I talked about this earlier in the collective. This isn't some horseshit play caller like Bill O'Brien, using George Godsey or whatever to call plays. This is a guy who's overseen one of the better defenses in the NFL the last couple years. You go back to San Francisco, even longer than that. He's overseen the defense and called defense, and he's allowing someone else to do that. Kind of weird. Maybe necessary. He's not really getting specific into the why of that, kind of going DeMeco Hardo. But I think it is a thing. How much of a thing? We'll see what happens once the competition increases. Like let's say that they turn this season around and you're facing the Indianapolis Colts in a win and get in type of situation. Is he going to be as willing to let Burt do that? That'll be something to keep an eye on. But I don't think it's a minimal thing or a small thing when DeMeco decides to make a decision like this.
So kind of felt like at that moment they turned a corner offensively and things started to really roll for them and energize the sideline. Did you get that same sense with the offense watching that Nico play kind of?
For me, I think the play to Nico is really the play of the game for me because we've been in the situations before the first couple of weeks where we went backwards, right? We've had 1st and 20, unfortunately. We don't want to be in those situations. But I love how that game unfolded and with that play happening with CJ and Nico down their sideline just shows you can overcome anything if you just keep pressing forward. You continue to put the ball in your playmakers' hands, you can make plays to overcome whatever situation you're in. And that's just a thing that I think our entire team needed to see. It doesn't matter where you are on the field, what the down and distance is, like, are you going to step up and make a play, right? And we had our best players in that moment, CJ and Nico. They stood up and they made a play to put us in a really great spot offensively.
What's the process like when like a guy like Stingley guts it out and goes out there and plays? Does that kind of set the tone?
This is me asking about Stingley.
I see one of the better players doing that.
Yeah, really proud of Sting for pushing through and being able to play and knowing he was battling all week in pain and to see him, gut it out. That's huge. Huge for Sting, huge for everybody to see that, there is a difference and you're hurting. Everybody's hurting. Everybody's feeling something, right? You play the game long enough, you're going to be in a little pain, but to see the guy push through and show up and make some plays for us. It was big for us.
Kind of like one of the prime examples when you and Nick talk about you want guys who love football, because he says it's gonna take a lot to keep him off the field. Is he kind of like one of the prime examples you point to as loving football?
What I can see from Sting last week, as I was seeing him walking down the halls, he had a look in his eye that no matter what happens, I'm going to find a way to play in this game, right? And once I seen that look in his eye, I was not questioning that he was going to be out there.
When you look at Juice get another increase in reps, how much have you seen the improvements of the offensive line and kind of filling in that goal?
Juice he's done a nice job with the reps that he's taken. We can all get better up front collectively. We still have improvements to make. It's when we are on blocks, is staying attached, finishing blocks better. We can all improve that in that area and get better. I thought Juice did a good job.
So there are several players eligible to come off the PUP list. Do you anticipate any of them to come off?
All right, so here we go. PUP, do you anticipate? I'm going to circle back to this and ask him about Mixon specifically, but this is the injury news that he dropped today.
Joe Mixon standing.
Yeah, at this point in time with the PUP guys, I anticipate us opening a window for Autry and for Jay Reed.
I think yesterday was Derek Stingley's 34th straight game without a miss. Obviously, he came into the league with like a narrative about quote-unquote injury prone, and obviously the first year you had him, he missed a few games. What did you say to him about the work he's kind of put in to find ways to keep himself on the field?
Stingley he's a guy who definitely does a really nice job of taking care of his body throughout the week. Right, he does extra, not just what's required. He's doing extra all throughout the week to make sure he's healthy and his body is in a great position for him to go out and play as much time as he can play. And the thing about Sting, he's a true competitor. Like, he wants to be out there. Even 2 weeks ago when he did get the injury, like, he did not want to come out of the game. He was still trying to go at halftime, trying to push through it, trying everything in his power to be out there. Those are the type of guys that I want on our team, right? Guys who want to be out there, and Sting definitely represents that.
Daniil delivered again for you guys yesterday.
Yeah.
You know, he's a quiet guy, man. A few words, at least maybe he's more inside the locker room with you guys. And I saw the video of the game ball, but you know, what does he bring to you guys leadership wise? Even though he doesn't maybe not be as vocal as others.
All right, Daniil doesn't say much, but he says a lot about how he plays. He's consistently around the quarterback, applying pressure. I think he's done a really nice job this year of just understanding the scheme, what we're asking him to do when it comes to setting edges in the run game. He's one of our better edge setters in the run game, not just a pass player, right? As people can, you can kind of just lean to think that he's just a pass player. But he does a good job in the run game. And overall, just as a leader, what I like about him is how the other guys look up to him. Like, especially in the defensive line room. Like, those guys are constantly talking. He talks to those guys. He might not talk to us much, but he talks to the guys in the D-line room, and they're all feeding off of each other. And he's like an additional coach in the room, along with Frank and Rod. You have Daniil in there with the wisdom that he has, and a guy who's, of course, he's gotten over 100 sacks in his career. It takes a special player to do that. So we have a special guy that our guys can lean on, seek advice from, and he's there to share that wisdom.
There's reports you guys have traded Cam Robinson. Is there anything you can offer on that right now?
We traded Cam to the Browns today. It gives Cam an opportunity to go play. Cam wants to play, so it gives him an opportunity to do that, and we wish Cam nothing but the best. He's handled himself the right way since he's been here. He's done everything the right way, everything that we asked him to do. So we wanted to do right by him and give him the opportunity.
All right, so here's my thing here. And I would assume that maybe this means Trent Brown's close to being ready to be active on the roster. But I mean, was trading Cam Robinson just because he wants to play? Is that really in the best interest of the team? I know they like to, that's always like the go-to when you make any move. It's in the best interest of the team. If Trent Brown's not ready to go, who's the backup tackle? Like, are you going to put Blake Fisher at left tackle? Are you going to move Titus Howard to left tackle? You already traded Austin Deculus. So it's a weird precedent to set where you publicly say, well, this guy wanted to play, and so we just sent him to Cleveland. Now, I'm not even factoring in how much money they wasted on Cam Robinson. But I mean, what if Juice Scruggs ends up being the left guard and Laken Tomlinson's not starting? Like, can Laken Tomlinson just say, I want you to trade me so I can go play somewhere? It's a weird precedent to set, especially coming off the best interest of the team thing. If nobody gets hurt, cool. And if Trent Brown's ready to go and Trent Brown's still an effective player, cool. But that's a lot to ask, especially with Brown coming off the injury that he's coming off of. And especially on an offensive line that is not, it's far from being a really, really good offensive line. And the depth now is even worse. So hopefully that doesn't come back and bite him. But it's just an interesting thing to publicly say, well, this guy wants to play. This is a guy that you started at left tackle. You started at left tackle because a guard was out. So how do you go from in week 1, because a guard is out, this guy's a starting left tackle, to now we're going to trade him because he wants to play? Okay, we'll see how that goes.
What does that say about Ursery that as a rookie he's been able to hold off a veteran like Cam and kind of solidify his spot?
Yeah, for Ursery, I think he's done a really good job. Still has a ways to go. Still has room to grow, room to get better, and those are separate from each other. And
No, they're not. If he wanted to leave because he's not playing and Ursery's starting in front of him, they're about as connected as they can be, sir.
It's nothing to do with Cam, but Tay has done a really nice job.
So you've talked about what Woody has done here, but you all were really high on him in the draft process. What was it that you liked about him in that pre-draft process?
For Woody, what I really liked about his film, what he's done in college, he was a productive player in college, right? Going back to Mississippi State, he was a guy who was productive. As we saw on Sunday, he was productive in the passing game and the running game. So guys don't change, right? He's done it in college, and he's doing it here on this level as well. So you saw it on tape at Mississippi State, at USC. You saw what he was capable of doing, and I'm just proud of him for just stepping in. And he's getting more opportunities, and he's really taking advantage of those opportunities and making the plays to really impact our team.
Back to the injuries. So Joe Mixon not close to returning?
Yeah, for the PUP guys that are returning, it'll be Autry and Jay Reed.
So
when you look at EJ Speed, rep count kind of went up yesterday. What have you noticed of him in practice to where he's kind of fought his way into having a little bit more of a stand defense?
Yeah, EJ's done a really good job with the reps he's gotten. Like he goes out, he tackles well, he flies around on the field, making plays. So just wanted to get him some more opportunities, and I thought he did a really nice job with the more opportunities that he was given.
And CJ brought up him checking into that play on the Higgins touchdown. How beneficial is it for this offense to have a quarterback who has the wherewithal and the confidence to check into something like that on a third down situation?
CJ played his best game so far this year. Just for him, just the timing, the decision making in this game was really good, right? And it goes to when we had different alerts in the run game and the passing game, so he did a really good job of making the proper communication, going to the right spot with the football, but also in our run game, getting us in the right, I would say the perfect, but the best run for what we saw from their defense. So not just on that one play, but it was multiple plays in the game where CJ did a good job of communicating, and he made great decisions with the football, right? Protected the football well. Things weren't there. He was able to get out of the pocket on a couple to save some plays and gain some yards. So I really am pleased with his decision-making on yesterday.
Mick, I know I'll hear from you more during the course of the week, but initial thoughts just on the Ravens, what you're seeing so far out of them.
Yeah, initial thoughts with the Ravens are, the rushing attack is first and foremost. Right? We have to do a really great job defensively of stopping their run game. We know Henry, Hill, Lamar, all the guys are great runners. So we have to do a really great job stopping the run. And offensively, we have to lean on the run game more. We ran the ball well this past week versus Tennessee. We have to do a even better job this week versus the Ravens of running the football. That's been a formula for us. I feel like it'll be about the run game. If we can sustain drives by running the football, and we can stop some drives defensively by putting them in third and long situations, right, we'll be in a good spot.
It seems like there's been a league-wide overemphasis on kind of investing and leaning more on the run game. I guess obviously a lot of split safety look, things of that nature, where teams are kind of sitting in that shell look. How more valuable has the run game from your perspective just become in past?
This is interesting. This is interesting.
Things of that nature.
So I knew he was going to go this way. So DJ's asking him about the run game, how much more valuable it is. Old school ass DeMeco has never not valued the run game. So we know where this is going, but I do think I kind of want to piggyback off of this, and I want to bring up the Mixon thing in a sec. I got some thoughts on this, but I find this very interesting.
I always feel like the run game has always been an important part of football. Like, maybe people have gotten away from it in years past, but the run game is always what allows you to win games. You want to win games, you have to run the football, right? And that's how you control the game and ultimately win the game. So if you don't have a great run defense, you want to drop your quarterback back 40, 50 times, it's just not sustainable based on how the pass rushers are now in the NFL. Like, the guys are too good, and at some point the well will break. So you have to be able to help the quarterbacks by running the football more, and I think that's just what you're seeing. All right, thank you guys.
All right, there you go. We'll get to that in a sec. First, got to shout out the greatness of Texans Turf, Dan and his team. Let them do for you what they did for me. A lot of you kind of wonder, well, the turf in the backyard, that might be interesting. I don't know about it. I see all these ads on Instagram. Most of these companies, a lot of these companies, they don't provide the drainage like Texans Turf does. They don't have as good of prices as Texans Turf does. And they don't have as many options as Texans Turf does. The reason I know that is because I was a customer before. I support what Dan does. It's one of the best things I've done for my home. Whether you got a big yard, small yard, check them out. Even like the stuff on the side, putting greens, play areas, they got you taken care of, and it's going to be the best that you can possibly get. So do what I did. Go with Texans Turf. Go to texansturf.com. Hit Dan up. They'll come out. They'll give you an estimate. They got the financing available. They also got the military discounts, and they are the best in the game. I know because I shopped around before. Be sure to watch the Locker Room post-game show for the Texans Turf Kings of the Game, and also the Reaction Monday version of that on SNL. Shout out to Texans Turf and Dan and everything they do. I want to circle back to something DeMeco Ryans said about the run game. First, let's go to the super chat real quick before we get on that and talk about Joe Mixon.
You ain't never hate.
Swarm.
Evan says, trade Dare for some bubble gum and chips. Okay. What kind of bubble gum? What kind of bubble gum are we going with? Tate Rodriguez says, is this one of the worst off seasons in franchise history? Best free agency signing is Ed Ingram. I mean, when you pay a safety and trade for a safety and you get rid of him after week 3, you pay a tackle $12 million and he is gone by week 4, 5. It's not great. The draft, there might be something there when it comes to the draft. But yeah, as far as free agency and the non-draft, yeah, not great. Not great at all. To say the very least. Seems like a lot of the guys are making the same decisions. Rich Boy Jay says, am I going to ask about Joe Mixon every week like you did with Harris? We need answers. No, because I think we can kind of see where the Joe Mixon thing is. And we need to see Joe Mixon's face before there's even like anything with that. He was weird about the Harris thing. Like they knew that he was hurt. They knew it was bad. I knew it was bad. And quite frankly, I think it was unfair to the player. I think it was a bad thing. But the Joe Mixon thing, your guess is as good as mine. Grafa 0713. I guess he's talking to the chat. He says, stop crying. Mixon will be back eventually. Love what we're able to accomplish with Woody Marks. I mean, are you breaking news? Like, do you know something that nobody else knows, that Joe Mixon will be back eventually? Like, what is that? You tell me, and we'll see what it goes. Here's the thing about Joe Mixon. He's not there. Now, maybe after the bye week, we see Joe Mixon. I don't know. Like, maybe we at least see him in the building, but he's not there. So this isn't like a lot of these guys that are rehabbing and coming back. He's not there. We don't see him at all. So he's never been in this offense. He's never practiced this offense. He's got an injury, which is kind of a mystery injury. And he's also got a career to think about where he's trying to prolong his career at this point. Like, Joe Mixon's at the point in his career where running backs fall off and they wear down and they fall off. Some people don't even want to give running backs second contracts. You're talking about a guy that's already gotten a few contracts and he has an injury that has put his season in jeopardy and put his career in jeopardy. So I don't know about you, but I always try to respect the organizational POV and the player POV, fan POV, all that. I try to take every POV into account. I express my opinion. I lay out why I think that. I'm not always going to be right, but while doing that, I also try to understand the POV from all angles, which I think is important when it comes to analyzing players, coaches, teams, organizations, all that type of stuff. So with that said, from the Texans' point of view, they would love Joe Mixon to be on the football field. They would love to be able to sprinkle in Joe Mixon with what they got going right now with Woody Marks and Nick Chubb. Obviously, he was one of your best players last year. He's been one of the most consistent backs of the last few years in the NFL. So obviously you would love to have that. He hasn't practiced. He's never played in the system. And he's hurt. So it's also probably a little bit easier said than done that he just all of a sudden shows up and plays. We also know that DeMeco does value guys being in the building. He's praised a lot of guys who rehab are in the building. I've seen Brevin Jordan. I saw Brevin Jordan the other day. Saw Tank yesterday. Told him he was sleeping on Cheesecake Factory. He didn't even know Cheesecake Factory served food. I said the menu's thicker than the Bible. You should check it out. But we see all those guys. Nico Autry's been right there. The guy that they talked about. Jalen Reed is just giddy every time he's out at practice watching. So he's been there. Joe Mixon hadn't been there. And from his point of view, if you're approaching 30 and you probably want to play a couple more years, God willing, why would you rush back after a big injury? If Joe Mixon re-injures that this year, there's a chance he never plays football again. There's a chance he never plays football again. So what's his hurry? What's Joe Mixon's hurry? Like, you got to respect the POV of the player and the organization. So why would he do that from his POV? So we don't know what's wrong with Joe Mixon. I would be surprised. I think after the bye we'll tell a lot, and maybe we start seeing him around. Maybe they told him, hey, get right 6 weeks and then just come be around the team and see what happens. Maybe that's like a target point. But if we don't see him in the building after the bye, I just don't know how you can assume that Joe Mixon's going to be back. I think that's a weirdo assumption to make. Unless you're like his cousin or something like that. I'm not trying to disrespect anyone. Grafa 0713, but like, what do you? I don't even know how you can say that he's going to be back based on anything we've seen. I'd say the bye will be something to check out. I don't know. But it does. There is DeMeco's always naturally kind of weird when it comes to answering some questions, but the Mixon thing just feels really strange with the way they handle it, all that. I thought something was going to come out by now where we'd hear something, but I don't know that Joe Mixon plays this year. I don't know. The other thing I found interesting about what DeMeco said, and I've been begging for the Texans to stock up on running backs for the last a lot of years. I want them to draft multiple backs in every draft. Just churn that position, get as many guys as you can get. You can't have enough backs. If you have 4 good backs, they could all be active and they could all be making plays in different ways. Like I would add no problem with Judkins and then drafting Marks. We were talking about Jaden Blue, but Marks, it looks like they found a good receiving back. I think they need as many running backs as possible because right now they only have 2 playable running backs. They have Dare Ogunbowale, who should really never play offense unless there's like an extreme emergency. And they have Dameon Pierce, who isn't even playable and isn't even active on game day and is a healthy scratch. And then they have the ghost of Nick Chubb and Woody Marks. So they have 2 guys that you really, really trust with a full running back room healthy. They have 2 guys that you can trust. Isn't that kind of crazy? Like when you hear DeMeco and you see how passionate he gets when he's talking about the run game and he talks about how important it is. Isn't it kind of weird that they have a guy that is essentially just a special teamer in Dare Ogunbowale and a guy in Dameon Pierce who's just been lingering around for the last 3 years and can't step on the football field? Is that not kind of like frustrating? Because we're not talking about like a lot of times, like when you don't have a good tackle or you don't have a good quarterback or you don't have a good edge guy, or you don't have a good corner. It's hard to find those guys. They're really hard to find. Running backs, you can figure it out. You can find running backs in almost any area. We just saw J.K. Dobbins. He broke the streak for Denver, the 100-yard without a 100-yard rusher streak. He broke that. You see it all over the place. Woody Marks was a day 2 guy. You see some first-round guys. Harvey scored today for Denver as well in that mix. They draft. So I just find it really weird. And, you know, we talked about the depth at offensive line. I think the depth at running back might be something else to take a look at. But I find it really strange that a position that you can easily stockpile, you have 2 guys that have lingered around for 3 years. And look, we say what we say about Dare being an overachiever, and you respect that, but he's unplayable on offense. And then you have Dameon Pierce, who can't even be active. I don't really understand it. I don't get it. I do envision that changes. Like I think that there's going to be a desire to change that, but I just do find that kind of funny that that's your philosophy and you have 2 guys that you can't even play. So we'll keep an eye on it. We'll go on to Baltimore tomorrow. I think Baltimore is a winnable game at this point, especially if Cooper Rush plays. But we'll keep an eye on that. Another thing to perhaps keep an eye on with this run game, we saw British Brooks get a fullback rep or 2. I wonder if that's the direction they'll go, because I don't know if the Harrison Bryant going out of the backfield, like whoever did those PFF grades a couple years ago where he was considered he had a good blocking grade, they were running max protect with Joe Flacco. So I don't know. I don't know if there's that's taken into account when they do that, but they were basically running max protect with Joe Flacco. And I'm sure when you're one half of a double team of an edge guy, it probably helps. But whoever said, and we got a couple comments that he was known as an elite, he's not. The tight end position's completely depleted. I don't know that it was going to be good to begin with, but the tight end position is terrible. And really the overall depth. And this is like, if you want to nitpick, and look, I like when the Texans win, man. My life is better. It's better for me. Now, I'm not going to lose my mind if they lose. I'm still going to cover the team to the full extent. Like, it's not optional. We're going to be on the air streaming twice a day, and even more when breaking news goes down, and we're going to follow the team no matter what. So I like when they win. It was the Titans. And you still want this team to be able to perhaps get in the playoffs and be able to make some noise. So I'm not trying to nitpick the roster. I am just going to say, when you look at the fact that they trade Cam Robinson today, and you look at the fact that they got rid of C.J. Gardner-Johnson within a 5-day stretch of that, and then you do the math on the money, and I think Ari Myrov did this. Ari Myrov's done a really good job of going from kind of aggregating the league to being a really good resource. He did the math on the combination, and here, I'll just pull it up. So the Texans spent $16 million on Cam Robinson and C.J. Gardner-Johnson. $16 million on those guys, and moved on from them both within a 5-week stretch. Do you know how much depth $16 million can get you? Like in the NFL? Do you know how important $16 million is once you're having to pay Stingley, perhaps CJ and Will Anderson? And then you look at the tight end position, which has no depth. There were injuries, but there's no depth. The running back position, where there's no depth. And in some other areas, that's awful. That's awful. Hopefully it doesn't become an issue, but the odds are eventually you're going to need your depth. You're going to need a deep roster. And there's a lot of areas on this team that are deeper than others. They've obviously invested a lot, and they get return on their investment when it comes to the defensive side of the rock. But to just piss away $16 million on a team that is just not very deep, it's pathetic. It's pathetic. There's really no excuse for that. But there is at least a win to talk about, and there's some hope against Baltimore. And we'll see where they go from here. If this team makes it into the bye week 2-3, I think the goals that they had at the start of the season are still right there in front of them. They just need to start gelling. Now, we've been calling for this Woody Marks thing for a while. Part of me wonders, hey, if they would have done this from the jump, are we talking about a 2-2 team? Are we talking about a 3-1 team? They were close ball games. I don't know if you've heard the coach say that before. But if we would have seen Woody Marks say in the game instead of Dari Gumbawale, they maybe win against the Rams. If Woody Marks is in the game and he makes a few plays, do they figure it out? What if they hand the ball to Woody Marks at the 1-yard line against Tampa Bay? By the way, QB sneak alive and well, unless they're playing Tampa Bay at the 1-yard line. And that's the thing. Like, when you say close, it's cool to say close because then it just kind of justifies your whole process. But what if you would have been doing what everyone said you should have done? Like, this isn't like going back to New England days and saying, well, damn, everybody should have drafted Tom Brady. No, like, teams passed on Tom Brady 5, 6, 7, 8 times. Nobody knew that. Anyone with a set of eyes that watched practice saw what Woody Marks could do. Maybe they'll try to say that he's picking up the offense. I think Woody Marks will play along with that. And maybe moving forward, we just look back at this and say, okay, well, Woody Marks is where they turned around the season. But in a game where, one win can be the difference between winning a division or getting home field advantage or making the playoffs, and you talk about being close, how much different does this thing look if Woody Marks had been the guy? How much difference does this thing look if you drafted multiple running backs? What if you had, I like Higgins, okay, but if you weren't going to use him, we were talking about Quinshon Judkins in the draft. What if you had Judkins, Chubb, and Woody Marks, and you could kind of mix that in and add an element to that? Seems like they trust running backs a little bit more than receivers. Who knows? I like Higgins, though. They obviously don't like Noel either. Maybe you could have used the extra back there. Who knows? There's still plenty of time for this season to turn around. It's not all lost. It's much better than talking about an 0-4 squad. Had they lost to the Titans, there'd be a lot more questions. Do I feel much better about the offense? No. But we'll see where they go from here. And as long as you got that defense, you're going to be in games.
You ain't never hate.
Swarm.
Zach says Ravens trying out Kenyon Green. Please sign him, Ball. Bless his heart, man. Bless his heart. They're not good. Baltimore's not good. That's the other thing. Like even without the injuries, Baltimore wasn't playing very well. Sky's kind of falling there. This is this has potential to be a real dumpster fire for the Ravens. And at this point, the Texans offense is getting a hell of a lot of breaks. Their three best players are going to be out, or three of their four. Kyle Hamilton's up there. But three of their four guys, top guys, are going to be out. So you got a shot. You got a shot. Tomorrow we'll go on to Baltimore. We'll talk about it all. Shout out to everyone that rode along today on Reaction Monday, first victory Reaction Monday of the day. Shout out to the greatness that is Sleeper and everything they do. Best sports app in the game. We'll play a little higher, lower later on in the week. Got a big weekend of college football. TDECU, shout out to them for sponsoring Reaction Monday. TDECU Stadium's going to be popping this week too. You got two undefeated teams, Texas Tech and the Cougs over there at TDECU Stadium. You can score 15% off Texans gear with the TDECU Texans debit card as well. Just go to tdecu.org/Texans. We see a lot of people with that Texans debit card. We'll also be at Spanky's the 17th and 31st. We're not going to do it during the bye week, so we'll do it the 17th and the 31st. So be out there with us. They just added some chicken Alfredo lasagna to the menu. If you think I'm not eating that before the gathering, then you've lost your damn mind. So I will definitely be there for that. But shout out to TDECU and Spanky's. We want to see you there on the 17th and on Halloween. Subscribe, like, ride along. Always remember when it comes to this Texan stuff, and it's much better when they win, we're all in it together. Appreciate y'all for rolling through.
Digital on YouTube. We got taste for days. Opinions to give. We got takeaways. If it's up, then it's up. We number one. You don't need to try your luck. Locker room, yeah, we in the locker room. Texas talk, yeah, you know what we about to do. Localize, every angle's what we really do. We the source, we the pulse of the city too.